So my name is Marina Nitzak. I'm the co-founder, co-owner of LM Group, which in the beginning was Lux Mabea, then was Lux Mabea Investors Club. It had also other different subgroups, VIP Club. We launched the very first in Spain Russian-speaking TV program, and from all of that, we became Lux Mabea Investors Club, and now to commemorate our 10th anniversary, we became LM Group Real Estate. So the rebrand, I think, has been coming in the works for a long time because the way we started was a kind of social and business networking club for Russian speakers here in Costa del Sol. When we started 10 years ago, it was basically self-initiated kind of business, which started with a lunch for Russian-speaking ladies that had a business here. And from that lunch that was supposed to be 8 ladies, we were 45, and from lunch it turned into dinner, and then it just exploded into all these directions. And over time, the main direction, the main request that we've been getting is for people, Russian-speaking people, moving here to the coast, and it's been more and more property related. So at that point, my husband Juan did FPA, which is European Union Financial Advisor qualification, and we became Lux Mabea Investors Club to help all those people in a much more professional way, understanding better the market and helping them with their real estate inquiries. I think the kind of properties that we sell and the areas that we cover, we always go with what our clients want and need. So we haven't, from the very start, we've never decided on the kind of properties or the kind of area on the coast. It's always been led by the client because our focus has always been the buyer, the investor. So wherever they wanted to go, whatever their request was, so we kind of worked a little bit backwards, as it were, and it's always been our niche to go with the buyer rather than to represent the seller. So taking us to new builds, it's been a very popular trend for probably about 5 or 6 years now. So we've specialized more than anything in new build properties. We've become, as people say, and I would tend to agree, leaders in the new build property market. And probably the main area that we cover is between Estepona and probably Cabo Pino. Of course, we have sales in Benalmádena, we have sales in Calahonda, some in Manilva, but the main area, I think, is Estepona because it's been growing so much. Of course, Mabea and some of the east side and maybe a little bit up. Our office is based in Rosa Rosa, which is, I keep saying new, but it's been here for 2 years now, open. Rosa Rosa Sports, Tennis and Country Club, Family Country Club. And we've been in partnership with them for many years before they opened. So we're based here. We're not open to public, it's by appointment only. We really are quite a boutique agency, which, as I was saying, all goes hand in hand with what the client, what the buyer wants, and the buyer wants more exclusivity, more personalized service. So we're not a high street office open to public walk-ins. So this office is very cozy, it's very comfortable and a little bit away from hustle and bustle of the high streets. So the whole reason why we rebranded, I think probably the main reason is because probably since the lockdown, our clients have become so international. As you know, the whole big tendency for people to understand they can and want to manage their business remotely, not from Stockholm where it's dark after 3:30, not from Washington where the hustle bustle. So they can manage their business or they can work remotely from anywhere in the world. So from that point on, I think lockdown has been the biggest tipping point for us in expanding the international spectrum of the clients that we have so much, from Swedish to obviously a lot of British, Irish, Russian speaking from different countries, Estonia, Lithuania. Argentinian market has been very, very busy for us. Polish clients have been probably some of the most active and also the most decisive. So in terms of volume of sales and probably also the speed at which they purchase is much quicker, I would say at the moment, than majority of other nationalities. I think our team is the biggest asset that we have. And in an interview a long time ago, someone asked me, what would I say is my superpower? Everybody has a superpower, and I thought about it for a long time. And I think my superpower is the luck, the great fortune to surround myself with fantastic people. And so our team is what we're most proud of. Our team comes from very different cultures, different countries, different backgrounds in terms of what they used to do. So we have people who were bank managers, we have people who were kindergarten teachers. So they all come from all different backgrounds. I think what they have in common is our values. Our values where number one is transparency, ethics, honesty, loyalty, and of course, biggest commitment. I think perfectionism is something we're coaching on a lot, our team, because everybody is in a team very perfectionist in what they do. And I think that's the common thread, rather than, they all have X number of years of experience in sales or in real estate sales. So our team is a bunch of really great people that have their backs. We have each other's backs, very supportive of each other, very dedicated to fantastic results for our clients. And I think the atmosphere that we have, it's felt. People that come into us through our website, through our social media, they say, I looked through so many, but somehow even through pictures, you can feel, the great atmosphere and the great spirit. And the team spirit is our pride and joy. So the co-founders, which is my husband and I, my husband's name is Juan Manuel Belia. He's from Argentina, and we started the business together just over 10 years ago. And he is everything back office. He loves Excel, he loves contracts, he loves technology, he loves finance. So all the things that I'm not good at and I don't enjoy, he's fantastic at. And everything that's front office, which is face-to-face time, HR, VIP clients, our collaborators, partners, parachuting into some situations that need to be resolved quickly and diplomatically. So the division is very clear and we don't get into each other's backyards. And I think for me, it's probably the only way a good dynamic of husband and wife in the business can work, that everybody has their areas that they love, they're good at, and they get to manage fully. So that's the dynamic that we have. I was born in Vladivostok, which is far, far east in Russia, and I was born to Russian Ukrainian parents. Both of them have a mix of those, and then we moved to Germany when I was 11 as political refugees, and we climbed through the wall that was still in Berlin. I think it's probably a story I don't share very often. So I came with my little sister and my mother, and just before us, because it was obviously illegal to cross from East Berlin to West Berlin without proper documentation, and there was a class of kids around my age, and we kind of pretended to be with them, crossed the wall and sought political asylum. So our kind of Western story started slightly illegally. So then we were in political asylum in Berlin. Then my mother got married and moved to UK. I stayed in Berlin for a little while. And then I joined her in the UK and started to work also illegally as a waitress when I was 13, 14. And fun times, a lot of anecdotes for another day. Then I think in London, there was such a boom of business with Russia. And I self-taught myself to be a Russian teacher. And I started teaching Russian to banking executives, to large company owners. You know, it was a slightly scary time because, you know, there was little illegal me walking into these huge, beautiful offices and telling these CEOs to do their homework. And I think, you know, going back to the superpower, you know, I'm very lucky that amongst my students, there were a lot of very powerful people who somehow saw this big potential in me and believed in me and encouraged me to keep advancing, keep progressing in learning more, learning English. And then from there I started working for a bank. Again, came out of one of my students. From there they offered me a project manager position. From there I moved on to Financial Times, and I had this amazing mentor, boss lady, Helen, if you're watching. And she really taught me so much about doing great business, about really nurturing talent the way she did with me, and for that I'm very, very grateful. 2002, after a trip to Madrid, I absolutely fell in love with Spain. As soon as I landed, as soon as the airplane was landing, I just felt this great energy of feeling I'm home. And so on my little trip, probably about 4 or 5 days, I fell in love with Spanish culture, with the way people treat you, with more relaxed way of life, and decided this is the place for me, this is the place I want to try. And so very shortly after that I moved to Madrid and was working for a headhunting agency. And then after that I sold my house in London and set up a nightclub in the center of Madrid. I was very naive, very young. I think I must have been 24, 25, so you can calculate my age there very quickly. So that was a whole big, full-blown disaster, really, in the end. That for a few years after, I was resolving. Also, another story for another day. All through, I always believe I'm always much more keen to talk about my failures than about the successes, because what they say is so absolutely true. We learn so much more about ourselves, about our abilities, about our own internal resources, about the support group we have around us, and what's possible when we fail. After that, I did NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, became Master Prac as well. And I did coaching for quite a long while, business coaching, leadership coaching. And I think the theme of not being afraid to fail and just trying things out and just living life to the full, taking risks on yourself, on your ideas, on people around you that you believe in, was a lot of the common thread in some of my top coaching contracts. And I think each of us is so capable of so much more than we imagine if we just step over that fear of failure and, what would people think, and I'm gonna disappoint, and So I believe in failure, and I encourage everyone to fail. The more you fail, it means the more brave you are, the more ideas you have, the more active you are. So I think by trying and failing and getting up and trying again, this is to me what an entrepreneur life is. And I think you can't just sit back and just keep calculating risks and stepping back from your dreams or from your big ideas. And so I think that's a lot of our story as well over the last 10 years. I hear we live in a beautiful village. It's a paradise, but it's also a village in ways that you are sometimes under a microscope. Sometimes the curtains move and people see, oh, I saw your car, so-and-so, were you having a meeting with so-and-so? Or some stories sometimes you hear about yourself, or the versions, and I remember someone saying, Marina has this Midas touch, so she just touches and it just becomes gold. And I don't know whether I wish that were true, or I don't wish it was true. It certainly isn't true. There are so many, out of 10 things, 7 at least of what we tried have failed, some of them spectacularly, and I'm always very open and happy to talk about those things, But you have to keep trying and you have to enjoy it and have fun, which is my own philosophy. So from my very first visit here in Marbella with some girlfriends, I fell in love with Marbella as well. And I promised myself one day I will be here, I will live here, I will enjoy this beautiful paradise. I will build, a family life. I will build some kind of business, and I will move here. So from then, it's always been somewhere back of my mind, whatever I would start doing, does it have some kind of possibility to bring me to live here? And so in Madrid, I met my husband 14 years ago now, also in a nightclub. If my children ask, it was in the library, of course. I was in tea, not over tequila shots at 6 a.m. We had a very intense romance, and I actually already rented something here to move to Marbella the following month after meeting him. And so I moved, and my husband says, listen, the long distance relationships, I don't think they work out. Come back, let's live together in Madrid, and I promise we'll come back to Marbella and set up. And lo and behold, after we got married, also very quickly, a year after we met, I think 3 months after we got married, I got pregnant with our eldest daughter. And we decided that was the right time to move here, to set up our family life here. It was a very beautiful time. It's moving from Madrid to paradise to dream is just, you get goosebumps thinking of all the people, and that's one of the reasons I love our business, is there are so many families that you help to be in that super exciting moment of starting their new life, new family adventure in this beautiful place. And so we moved here, and the first thing I did was starting to help Costa Women, Ali Michen, also my wonderful mentor and great friend. And Costa Women is for expat women all over Spain, and Ali Michen is based in Fuengirola, in Boliches. And there were more and more women wanting to join this network from Marbella area. There's this invisible divide, can't be going from Marbella to, a networking meeting over in Fuengirola. And so she asked me to set up Costa Women Marbella. Back then, if you remember, there were these wildfires that destroyed so many homes. So my biggest thing was organizing some really great events, really fun events to fundraise for those families that lost everything. So we were fundraising to buy tools actually for people to rebuild their homes, or for tradesmen to be able to make money to rebuild their homes. So for probably the first few months, everything was very, very focused, and we did actually a lot of very, very good projects for the community, which I also for some reason don't really talk about so much. But through this network, I met 3 other Russian-speaking ladies who became very good friends, and we decided, we were chatting and we were saying, it's so different culturally for a Russian-speaking, Soviet woman to be a businesswoman. There are so many taboos, there are so many stigmas attached to it. Why don't we have a lunch for Russian-speaking business ladies? And so that was back in March 2013. And so Royal Tennis Club, which at the time I didn't know was owned also by Russians, but it was next to my house, so I thought we will do the lunch there. And we booked for 8 people, and somehow everybody just heard. We obviously had no advertising, we had no name for it, it was just us. And we were 45. And from there, so many ideas, with a little bit of bubbly, you always get much more creative. So many ideas were born that were saying, why don't we do a VIP club, because it's so difficult to get the right suppliers that are up to our standards. We recommend them to each other and they have special conditions. So VIP club was born. All of this just, my daughter was only a few months old. Thankfully, my husband has always been very supportive of anything I wanted to do, whether it's charity, whether it's my own projects. And so he supported this idea, and for some reason, I don't even remember why, we called it Lux Mavea, because when you Google, as a Russian speaker, you normally put in LUKS. So the very first logo, if someone remembers, was I think my 11-year-old daughter could do a better version now. So from there it was born. That's what we count as the birth of the company, of Lux Mavea. And from there we did so many different events, cultural, charity, family, business, networking. And I think one of the main things, and we did a lot of interviews for national television, for international television, because they couldn't understand how all of a sudden there was this huge community that was underground before, all of a sudden so visible everywhere. I think one of the main functions that we fulfilled at the time is becoming this bridge between Russian-speaking community and the local businesses, the local people, to really introduce each other and to explain cultural, maybe differences or things in common. And so through VIP Club, through some of the other projects and events that we did a lot of introductions, we did a lot of facilitating. There were some great partnerships that were discovered, great friendships. People started coming out of their shell, which was also beautiful to see. And then from there, especially considering the charity work and some of the helpful, useful information. We did 100,000 copies of map of Costa del Sol in Russian, together with the Marbella Town Hall. Kind of the word spread, and there were, of course, a lot of people who are a little bit mistrusting. Unfortunately, Marbella real estate sector, let's be honest, has some reputational issues that hopefully continue to get better, maybe get regulated at some point, but they wanted someone trusted. Of course, you're making the biggest purchase of your life, the biggest step, which is your home, your property, or your commercial premises. And the thing that people look the most is not so much even the brand or the properties that you're offering. People are looking to trust. And I think trust is a very personal thing that you perceive. Sometimes you perceive even from an article, from someone, talking about some of their own life experiences. And of course, we became so visible, for nice things we were doing, that a lot of people started coming to us with real estate requests. And at that point, we had to again quickly educate ourselves on the market. So before, you rightly pointed out at our very first meeting that we're a little bit backwards in terms of not creating a product or service and then going and offering out to people, but having these people requesting this product or service and thinking, okay, we have to create it in the right way to be able to satisfy their need or their want to work with us. So that's when really we started to learn in so much detail about the market, understanding, that empathy is a huge thing for us. And actually, when we first came to look for our own place, when we were living in Madrid, and we came to Marbella, and I'm a very thorough person, and from Madrid I did a very thorough briefing on what we wanted in terms of area, in terms of our house. And I contacted probably about 10 agencies here, and I've sent it out to them. And then we had just 3-4 days to do 15 viewings to choose a home, because our baby was only 3 months old then. And the service that we got, and I think great service in any market is fantastic for all the members of that market. It's never good for anyone when there are bad eggs or when there is bad service. So when someone says, when another agency closes or they do something wrong or they get sued, and people around go, oh, that's going to make it easier, less and less competition. And it's such opposite. The more great quality companies there are out there in our sector, the better. So I never like to criticize what's happening in our market, because it definitely doesn't look good, doesn't make look good us or the market or anything else. But unfortunately, our experience was that out of those 10 agencies, they were all pushing their own listings, which had nothing to do with our request, with my very detailed briefing. Like, on top priority, it was walking distance to the beach, and we were being taken to Los Altos de los Monteros, and halfway through I was saying, no, this is not working. You'll see. So a lot of pushing of their own listings. So there was no empathy with us as a client. It was just, I need to sell you what's best for me. And from there, I think we started thinking, we'd love for there to be a service which is very focused on the client, not on the property that someone decides is good, someone decides is more profitable for them, but on the client, on their needs, and to really empathize and understand what's going to be their functionality, their lifestyle, so that it fits, so you can recommend the best area for them, near best school. Well, best school is nowadays the school that will take you, the school that has places. So we empathize, and we always do as we would want to be done by. We ask ourselves, would I want, as a client, as a buyer, for this information to be disclosed to me? Is it useful to me? So that's empathy is a big part of what we base our service level on.